Welcome to Relationship Workout for Men, Season 25, Moving Beyond Transactional Dating, Episode 4, Ask the Hard Question. I'm here today with guest Anna Jackson. She's a psychotherapist based in the UK, specializing in everything mental health related. In this episode, we're going to discuss that you need to have self-awareness and trust in yourself and your partner to ask the difficult questions. So what do you think about this, Anna?
You need to have trust that the other person isn't going to run away or judge you or reject you. And you need to have trust that if they do, you'll be fine because you've made peace with yourself about that. So that's coming from self-esteem and self-worth and self-value.
But so you're saying that you should go ahead and ask the hard questions, because if it means that the person leaves, it's a good thing that you ask the hard question up front versus not.
Yeah, I think it depends what we're talking. I guess a hard question could be, where do you see this going? A hard question could be, it bothers me when you go out so much. Is there a way in which we can do something a bit more do something more together of that? Because I think really a hard question is coming back down to worrying about the response. And look, the world is but uncertain, so worrying about this, you don't know what they're going to say, and it could end in an argument, it could end in a breakup. So a hard question really is individual for each couple, but something that you're worrying about. But again, like anything, it's weighing up, do I need to ask this question? Is this a personal fear that doesn't need to be raised, or does it need to be raised? And look inward first. If it does need to be raised, raise it, but timing is paramount. The way in which you ask is paramount. So we want to take as much emotion out of it as possible. Obviously, it's very easy to say that where I'm sat here not emotional or triggered by anything. But we want to really take the emotion out. So you don't need to say things in the heat of the moment the majority of the time. And the majority of the time, it's better not to. You need to let that settle down and then have a conversation when things are much less heated. Because really, that's when you're going to get an answer that is far more likely to be the answer you want, rather than in the moment where it's far more likely to be something you don't want, and then consequently escalate.
So this is a hard one, right? Because there's a lot of tough questions, and especially in dating, but in marriage, there's some very tough questions. And the timing of it is even harder, right? So we have a couple kids, we both work, it's like to find time to ask those hard questions. It seems to be easier to let time go by and just not ask the hard question. Like, how do you bring timing into this when you're just so busy?
I think coming back down to what we said in a previous episode around maybe having the 20-minute slot once a day, where you can bring a question like that into the fold, because actually you're both prepared for that to take place. You're not being caught off guard. She's not being caught off guard. It's once a day. It comes around every day. You have that opportunity to say what you want to say in that. So that would be my best solution for that question. I think if it's something that's very immediate, I think ask them and just get them ready. Can I ask you a question? Do you have 5 minutes for me to ask you a question? No, sorry, I'm working. Okay, I can do that at 1 o'clock. So it's just give them a bit of just don't sort of hit them, metaphorically hit them in the face with it, because I think that you can catch someone off guard and they actually don't have time to process, and a lot of the time they'll potentially say something back that isn't the right thing.
It's funny when you said that, because at work, I would always ask a peer of mine or my boss, can I ask you a question? But in a relationship, we tend to just feel comfortable to just barge in and go and start talking. And the person could be in the middle of something. It could be as simple as that. Can I ask you, do you have time for it? And if you don't, can we find a time where we can?
Yeah, I mean, healthy relationships, the other person is probably likely to say, I don't right now, I'm in the middle of a meeting, or, going into a meeting, but I'll be done in an hour, can we speak then? Because it's clear that the person, your partner, significant other, wants to get something off their chest or to clarify something. So the kind and normal, thing to do in a healthy relationship would be to like carry that or catch that, be there for that, show up for that.
It's almost like you should look forward to the tough questions because it gives an opportunity for further connection.
Connection, growth, closeness, depth, bond, all of it, yeah.
Because I know that I'm very afraid of asking the tough questions. And I'm reflecting on friends of mine who may be struggling in their relationships. And I think there's some underlining tough questions that haven't been asked. And it's so easy to just let time go by and not ask these questions. But it's actually it comes back to that self-awareness that the man's going to be more attractive to his partner if he's actually asking the tough questions, but in a space that's a connecting space, I think you said, as opposed to just, I'm upset, I'm going to just I'm just going to barf this out at you. And maybe it's, let's find time on Friday night, let's go to dinner, let's open up a nice bottle of wine and have this discussion that's important to me. How do you frame it so that it doesn't feel so scary? So it doesn't I need to ask a really tough.
Yeah, that's an internal thing. Like, why does it feel so scary for you? Is it because you're worried about them leaving you? Well, if you're that terrified about them leaving you, then you need to work on your own self-worth. Because you should be able to walk away from any relationship if it's not serving you. And that doesn't mean to just be like, oh, this isn't working, I'm walking. But you should be able to know that you can back yourself and you have the confidence to walk away from any relationship that goes bad.
Yeah.
After you've tried it. There's this thing about, there's a level of being codependent, but I still think being codependent does not mean you have to lose your independence. I think you can, again, like so many things, you can balance being codependent with keeping your own identity as well. Naturally, you merge into being more codependent when you're in a relationship, but that doesn't mean lose your sense of self, because I think that can actually be quite dangerous.
Yeah, and actually the tough question might simply be, I need more time to myself. I mean,
that's quite a tough question for a lot of people to hear, yeah.
And just, it's actually asking the tough questions really, in some sense, sharing a need that you have that you're, for some, whatever reason, worried or afraid to ask. But
I think, and I think, a fear with that would probably be, this person is going to take this the wrong way. Because it's like, if I heard I need more time to myself, to be honest, I would instantly be like, oh, I would just hear they don't want to spend time with me.
Right.
And then I'd be like, in my head, sort of thinking, oh God, they want to leave. So I think it's really the way you frame it. I think framing it maybe as, I want more time to myself, isn't great, but maybe framing it as, do you mind if I go to the gym 2 times a week? Or, because that's less maybe abrasive.
Right. That's really good.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
And speak to the why as well. So that's the how, but speak to the why, which is because I need time to kind of process some of this stuff that's going on at work. I feel a bit weak at the moment physically. I want to feel stronger and healthier in myself, and therefore better in my physical body and my mental health. So speak to the why of it as well.
And I think the guy could also turn it around and ask the tough question. Give your partner space to ask a tough question. I now imagine I could ask, is there something that you need that you're not getting?
Yeah, exactly. That's a nice thing that they can say, because they've said that what they need. So it's like, how can I help? It's not a transaction again, but it's it's just offering that support back. Right.
But it's giving, and you can ask this without first saying this is what I need, but you could just open it up with, because you're actually opening up for her to ask you the tough question, what could be a hard question. but she's may not have been said. Maybe she doesn't feel safe to say it. So giving her that safe space to ask the tough question is the other way.
Yeah, it's like you see someone sharing, you're more inclined to share.
Yeah.
Someone else first, you know.
And it's amazing, once you've asked that hard question, all of a sudden that becomes an easy one. Like if it's I need do you mind if I go to the gym every day for 30 minutes because I need to, like, just for whatever my But then it's just it's an easy thing. It's like, okay, it's part of the thing, and yeah, so ask the tough questions. And you're right, if you're worried that she'll leave you if you're expressing a need of yours, then maybe that's kind of problematic in the relationship itself. But it's probably not going to get there. I mean, it's one thing to say, share something that's really like a grenade, but most of our needs are pretty foundational or pretty basic, you know. All right, I think we're going to exit the episode now. And the next episode, and by the way, it just makes me realize this isn't prioritizing the relationship. It's just, that's one of the things you could be doing, just making sure every week that there isn't a hard question that hasn't been asked. There's another way of thinking about that. Like, did we just end the week without a hard question being in our shadow side or being kind of hidden? And we're suffering because we haven't asked that hard question.
Yeah, so that would be space in those 20 minutes a day where it's a space for, you could even set it up as like, we're going to have 20 minutes a day where we chat about everything. It's going to be a safe space, no judgment, no getting really emotional, getting really angry. It's a completely safe space, and it's a space for hard questions.
Yeah.
So the person can feel safer bringing things to the table.
Right. I love it. And maybe you even do it through, you make sure you're holding hands, or to make it as much of a connected space as possible. So it feels safe and it feels like a supportive activity we're going to do together. This is not a divisive activity. It's a supportive activity to bring us closer. So, all right. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to go look. I'm going to make a list of what hard questions I haven't asked, and make sure I give my wife an opportunity to ask me a hard question today. Yeah. It's like, maybe that's what I should give her. That's what she should give for Valentine's Day. Please ask me all the hard questions. I think I'd be more connecting Valentine's Day than a box of chocolates.
A list of hard questions.
All right, we're going to end this episode here. So the next one, we're going to discuss some things are good for the right now. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Anna, and we'll see you in the next episode.